What's everyone doing? This is Clifton Raheem Bradley from the United States of America. I had a lot of mistakes on a show that I did, and my apologies go out. But I know you don't want to hear about this. You're looking at the great picture. I say great picture of Martin Luther King, and he's standing, not standing. It's a portrait of him by the United States of America flag. And thought that it was appropriate for me to do a show about Martin Luther King, what he meant what he meant to a whole lot of people. He meant a lot to a whole lot of people. And don't really know what's going on with my sound. I'm gonna turn it up to see what is going on. And I'm not even sure if there's sound right now because there is something that is going on with my computer. And somebody sent me a message. They think I know what it is. Okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to my settings. Okay, and there's something that is going on with my sound system. I don't know what it is, but you know what? I'm going to hurry up and figure it out. Okay, so get on up here. So there's something that is going on with my sound settings. I don't know what it is. Okay, oh, I know what it is. Testing, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So I am, let me see. Out. There it is. So there was something going on with my sound system. And you know what? Okay, and I'm going to put this out right here. So if you can hear sound, please let me know. If you can't hear anything, let me know. But you know what? This is what happens. Yeah, hello. Can you hear me?
I hear you fine, Cliff.
Hey, brother. You know what? This is what happens, Johnny. When you don't work with this stuff for a long time, you forget.
Yeah.
You forget, bro.
Yeah.
And hell, this is my classmate, mate, and me and him collaborate on things, brother. But thanks, Johnny, because you know what I was talking. I was like, oh, I don't hear anything. But you know what? I just had to figure out it. Tell us about your show, man, and we're gonna talk about Martin Luther King. Tell us about your show and where your YouTube page is, where your Facebook page, and got a bone to pick to you about my headphones. But we'll talk
Oh,
about
you
that.
know what? They hanging on the doorknob. I got them on the doorknob right here. So when I
Yeah.
walk out, I don't forget. But guess
Okay.
what? I keep forgetting.
Okay. That's all right. But tell us, man. Tell us about your podcast. Then we're gonna get on to Martin Luther King.
Okay, yeah. So I am Prophet Johnson, and I have a podcast on the truth. I
Mhm.
I my I have a spiritual podcast that's dispensing the true doctrine of the Lord Jesus Christ, which he received from his Father.
Mhm.
And my main aim is to combat religiosity and to debunk false doctrine. So what I do is share the unadulterated truth of God, uh, without politics, uh, rightly dividing the word of truth as our scriptures call for.
He's out to defunct people like me. So I'm like, but you know what? But me, you know what? But me and him we have civil conversations, intellectual conversations. Even though I'm not gonna say even though I mean even though I'm a Muslim and he's a Christian, but we have civil conversations talking about things that are going on from a cosmopolitan or worldly point of view, and I've grown from that, and I appreciate you for that. But man, what
And
is your YouTube
hey,
page, right
hey,
quick?
I appreciate you too, because it's not often that you get to talk with someone and you have a different faith and you're able to have a conversation, and just talk about both where we disagree and where we have common ground without it digressing into an argument and a religious struggle.
No, I think like Martin Luther King. This is Martin Luther King's. This is the day that they commemorate. I'm not even saying that word.
Commemorate.
Yeah, commemorate. See how he got my back. His birth. I assume, and you know what? And I just wanted to take some time to talk about him. And you know what? You could put something in the chat room, or you can join us if you want to. If there's something about Martin Luther King that you like, if it was something about Martin Luther King that you did not like, something that you objected to, thought you enjoyed him because he was inspirational, you know what? Share this broadcast. Share this broadcast. And go to Johnny's YouTube page. He's got to go to his YouTube
The,
page.
that is the joyful sound,
Mhm.
truth and conversation. That's my
Yes.
YouTube page. The joyful
Yes.
sound, truth and conversation under Prophet Johnson.
Okay. And let me ask you something, man. You know what? From what I know about Martin Luther King, he actually he did not really want to step forward at the beginning. And there's a movie this I think that's coming out the way they said this is something that you have to do because of the Jim Crow laws and because of the disparities that are going on. This is something that you have to step forward, and why did he feel that he was not worthy to step forward, in your opinion, Johnny?
I don't know if he didn't feel worthy, but
At the
certainly,
beginning. Mhm.
certainly, it was a monumental task. It Man, I can't really imagine. Maybe I could, but I can only imagine the feelings that he might have had, because it's a heavy burden. I mean, Jesus Christ carried a heavy burden more than any man, but
Mhm.
to me, the burden that Martin Luther King carried was pretty significant. Next to, as far as the people I am familiar with,
Mhm.
only second to Christ uh, was his burden. Was the burden that he carried, and there's a lot of information and talk about his flaws, but
Yes.
irrespective of his flaws, you could separate. I could separate those things, and they should be separated. We should acknowledge his flaws. He's accountable for his flaws, but at the same time, he is not his flaws as far as his work that he did in the natural. He is not his flaws.
No.
So I think that was had to do with his reluctance, is that he understood the gravity of the work that he was to do.
I would say, for you know what, oftentimes, me and you both are prayerful men. We may have been asked to step forward. And you know what? Martin Luther King, Reverend Martin Luther King was asked to step forward. And sometimes you ask yourself, maybe not you, but I ask myself, why me? You know what I'm saying? After you get down and praying, no matter what your religion is, and you get a manifestation and you get a revealing, and you say, why me? There's somebody that can speak more eloquently than me, that has more skills than me. And you know what? And you ponder, like, I don't know if you agree with that.
Well,
You
I think there was probably a transformation,
Mhm.
because I think under the circumstances, he might have felt like that. Why me?
Yeah.
But at some point, when it's in your heart to do, you make the switch from why me to I got to do this. You know, I don't know who's going to do it, but I know it needs to be done. It has to be done,
Yeah.
and quite frankly, I want to do this.
Yes. Martin Luther King, and my parents, Catherine Bradley and Clifton Bradley Jr., they revered him. They revered him. And I say, with all due respect to him, I can't admonish. I can never tie down what he did. I couldn't have walked. I don't think that I could have walked that road, because I think it was something like being a pacifist. But the thing is, that doesn't mean that you're a weak person because you turn the cheek. That doesn't mean that. And you know what? His approach was right for him and many, many other people. But I don't believe that I would have been able to walk that walk and
Mhm,
talk that talk. But I
mhm,
respect what he did.
mhm.
Now, does it sound like I'm chickening out about something, brother?
Well, I mean, that's an interesting concept, because a lot of times people feel like when you fight, then you're not a chicken. But if you refuse to fight, then you're a chicken. But
Yeah,
that's exactly what Martin Luther King showed, was that it can be the opposite way around, that sometimes not fighting is demonstration of your courage. It's a lot like I think it was something Jackie Robinson also said.
hmm
He when he said that when he was being drafted, or
hmm
however he ended up with the Dodgers, because normally when you're drafted from a uh, unprofessional or semi-pro league a to the professional league, but he was already playing professional baseball in the Negro leagues, and came on with the Los Angeles Dodgers. But what he said was, or what was said of him, was that the Dodgers, they wasn't looking for someone uh, who had the courage to fight, but for
yes,
someone who had the courage not to fight. And
yeah,
that's an interesting take on life.
yes. And like I said, and all they, what he did in the organizations and the groups when they got together and they had what they did in Washington and walking across the bridge of Selma. I think he walked across the bridge of Selma
Mhm.
when Rosa Parks had to refuse to
to
sit,
stand
to stand up
for
and
some lazy dude.
yeah. And it. Yeah, I mean that. I would say one individual you can't really call it weak, but I would have had a different approach. But I'm not going to say what my approach would have been because it may be inappropriate for the algorithms that are dealing with certain platforms.
Mhm.
Okay, but I would have had a different approach. So be it good, I be it bad.
Mhm. Mhm.
I mean, we got a call, and you know what? I'm gonna have to put this individual on speaker and let them talk. Yeah, how are you doing?
To send a voicemail, press 2.
Okay, go ahead.
How you doing, Brother Cliff? How are you, this Mr. Ben?
How you doing? Assalamu alaikum, brother.
Walaikum salam. I listened to your program. I seen it come up on Facebook.
Yes.
And so I decided, I said, let me just call in to support. I want to say hello to Prophet Johnson, right?
Yes.
Greetings.
I want to say hello to Prophet Johnson, too.
Mm-hmm.
And I just got a question, and then I'm gonna get off. I'm gonna listen to the rest of the show. And I know we're talking about Dr. Martin Luther King, and I know they had a lot of places had his celebration today.
I know where you're going at. Go ahead, brother. Go ahead.
Where am I going?
Oh, go ahead. What did he do? Go. I'm gonna get at to Johnny. We gonna get at to Johnny, okay?
Thanks.
I'm gonna put it on the floor because maybe you guys can answer it. I think I'm a little older than you guys. So
Hey, 1 minute, Cliff.
Yeah.
To see,
Yeah, I wish you had a second mic that you can give him, because
yeah, I had a chance to see Dr. Martin Luther King walk down Roosevelt Road when I was a little boy, when he was living on the west side over on Holman Street.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that he was a follower of Gandhi.
Yes.
Who taught passive resistance.
Yes.
Turn the other cheek and nonviolence.
Yeah.
And so when I was small, when you went into any black person's house, especially the elder's house,
yes,
they had the Trinity. They had the Trinity up on that wall.
Yes.
They had John F. Kennedy, Martin Luther King, and a depiction of Jesus Christ in their house.
Yes.
That was the Trinity in all black people's houses, and especially the elders.
Yes.
And as a little boy, I couldn't understand anybody whooping on me, and I'm gonna turn the other cheek. I could not understand that and go with that. And so to really kick off the civil rights movement, which you stood for,
yes,
which you was part of, started with Rosa Parks.
Yes.
And Rosa Parks decided that she didn't want to sit on the back of the bus. We know the story.
Yes.
And what that did was all the ministers and pastors got together and said, we got to do something about it.
Yeah.
They picked Martin Luther King to do it.
Yes.
Because he was a better speaker than them.
Yes.
He didn't want to do it, but they put him in the front. He was the youngest minister, and he was a better speaker.
Yes.
And so that's what he did.
Yeah.
Remember, he came and marched here in Chicago and marked that park. And they hit him with a brick, and he said that, there's more racism here in Chicago than it is in Alabama. Yes. So I'm looking at all of that was going on. I didn't fall for that notion of not turn the other cheek.
Yes.
I don't believe it. I didn't believe in that then as a child. My parents told me this. They say, if anybody hits you,
yes,
you hit them right back.
Yes.
They didn't say turn no cheek. And I don't believe that, like say then or now.
Yes.
I don't even see the intelligence in. I don't see the intelligence in that. And I'll get to that point real quick, and then I'm gonna get out. And we discussed this, guys. I'll let you guys show.
Okay.
A lot of people died behind that.
Yes.
A lot of people died behind that. During that time, the other movements came into this. The Black Panther Party came into that.
Yes.
In that movement, and they wasn't standing for nobody doing anything to you.
Yes.
And they believed in that.
Yes.
Martin Luther King, they continued to talk about his dream. I had a dream one day, black boys and white girls and Jews and Gentiles and so on and so forth, they're gonna walk hand in hand. Well, how does that work? How's that working right about now? They're still killing black people. They're still killing black people at an alarming rate.
Yes.
And when Martin Luther, they talk about that speech, but they don't talk about the speech that Martin Luther King said. I think I've been leading my people into a burning building.
Yeah.
They talk about that. Put that out there when he said, I think I've been doing this the wrong way.
Yes.
I've been leading my people into a burning building, and that's when his demise was coming into existence.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happened.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna leave this to you. I'm gonna leave this, guys. I'm gonna leave this with you for food for thought.
Yes.
When God creates his creation, he creates his creation to protect itself.
Yes. Yes.
It's there to protect it.
Yeah.
If someone have a bat and you're a swing a bat and hit you in the head with it, your arm gonna automatically go up to try to block the bat from hitting you in the head.
Yes.
You ain't gotta say anything. It's gonna naturally do that.
Yes.
If someone tries to throw a baseball at your face, your eyelids are gonna automatically close to protect the eyeball.
Yes.
Now, I tell you what, and that's how God creates his creation.
Yes.
Slap a lion and see if it turns the other cheek.
I agree.
Just not going to do that.
I agree.
And no one hitting me and everything else, but that was his concept from Gandhi, passive resistance. And he said something also about Jackie Robinson. Let me say this. Rosa Parks did not refuse to sit on the back of the bus. And that's what kicked off the civil rights movement. But do you know 17 years before Rosa Parks did that, Jackie Robinson did that.
I didn't know that.
He's the first one to refuse to sit on the back of the bus. 17 years before Rosa Parks. He did.
Mm-hmm.
He was in the military at the time. Mm-hmm. The military police on him. He said, I ain't going back to the back of the bus. And that is what happened. I asked people, I said, give me five accomplishments that Martin Luther King did. I'm asking y'all, can y'all present 5 of Martin Luther King's accomplishments?
Well, Johnny will be able to answer that, I know.
I'm gonna sit down. If you say how many 5 accomplishments that Michael Jordan had, they say he won 5 world championships. Everybody can say that. Everybody will know that.
Mm-hmm.
But if you ask 5 people 5 accomplishments that Martin Luther King has done, it'd be hard and few in between to get everybody to say the same answer.
Johnny will know. I'm gonna hand it over to Johnny.
Okay, y'all got it. I'm gonna watch the show. I support both of y'all.
Thank you.
And all we doing is learning from each other. And I'm gonna turn on the brother's show and check. I'm gonna check your show out too, Brother Johnny.
Before you leave, tell us where your podcast is, brother.
Oh, it's Minister Ben Willis podcast on YouTube. Yeah.
Ben Willis.
Yeah, tune in. All right. Thank you.
He didn't get it. He wanted the YouTube website.
No, just go to YouTube and put in Minister Ben Willis podcast.
Got it.
And all my stuff will come up there. I got about 27 episodes.
Okay.
Of all kinds of different things.
Got it.
Mm-hmm. All right. Assalamu alaikum.
That's a lot.
Yeah. Now, I'm gonna let you address that, Johnny. He said 5 accomplishments that are tangible that Reverend Martin Luther King left behind. You would know better than me.
Okay, let's start at the top because he dropped a lot on us. Okay, so first thing I want to talk about is the Trinity. And I think that people perceive the meaning of the Trinity wrong.
Mm-hmm.
So when people look at that, that iconic picture that Black people will hang in their home, where you have JFK, Martin Luther King, and what's supposed to be Jesus Christ,
yes,
on the wall,
yes,
people think that that's like some semblance of the Godhead or something.
yes,
I think they're missing the point. What I think that symbolizes is an explanation and justification, if you will, of Martin Luther King's nonviolent strategy.
yes,
So in this particular depiction, JFK is not, I don't think he's being venerated or anything like that. I think is representing a circumstance about 2,000 years ago.
yes,
So he would represent in this trinity or trilogy, whatever, Pontius Pilate or Caesar.
yes.
I think this is what that image is conveying to us.
Mm-hmm.
And therefore, it's justifying Martin Luther King's nonviolent approach as being Christ-like. So they're comparing Martin Luther King to Jesus Christ and suggesting how then we should conduct ourselves in this occupation and this oppression, right? So at that time, the Jews were oppressed by Rome, and their local governor from Rome was Pontius Pilate. So how did Jesus conduct himself in respect to Rome and its governor in a non-violent manner? So I think that's what that Trinity depiction was representing. Now, regarding turning the other cheek. All right. So first I'm going to deal with, like I said at the top of the show, what my show deals with is correcting doctrine. So turn the other cheek. See, people read the scriptures and and take a very religious or knee-jerk or maybe asinine interpretation of the scriptures. So when they read the scriptures where Jesus talked about turning the other cheek, he was talking to his disciples. That message was specifically for his disciples, the 12 more specifically. So when Jesus was saying turn the other cheek, it was in regards to the gospel. So if you're suffering for the gospel's sake, if you're suffering for the preaching and teaching of Christ, yes, you are to turn the other cheek, because fighting for the gospel is not a physical warfare. On the other hand, a follower of Christ is not required to turn the other cheek if it's not pertaining to the gospel. So if you walk up on me and you hit me, expect me to punch you back twice. You understand? So let's get that straight.
I understand. But he was saying, what did he you know what, Minister Ben.
I'm getting to that. I'm getting to that. And so I want to also address the strategy of turn the other cheek. And I'm sure, and I've read it before. I've read Mahatma Gandhi and Martin Luther King, and I've forgotten a lot of the stuff that I've read. But I'm sure it is a well-founded strategy that I doubt if it always worked, but it had some success in the way Martin Luther King implemented it. Now, there is a broader point to the strategy, and I think we talked about this earlier, because this ties into the effort that Martin Luther King was making, one of his other objectives, which was desegregation. And then there's a question about desegregation, and we talked about it, and you expressed some opposition to the idea of desegregation.
Yes.
I think that Martin Luther King might have actually been wiser than people understand, and maybe wiser than he actually stated, unless I miss, something he said, which is highly possible. But when you compare his desegregation strategy to what's happening in Israel, he looks very wise.
Okay.
Because if you recall, in every community that African Americans built throughout history that gained any success, how can I term this? The oppressor bombed them, attacked them, slaughtered them, etc.
It's true. Yeah.
That looks like modern day Israel with the Gaza Strip and the West Bank.
Yes.
So with that in mind, it's highly possible, and I would argue likely, that if we had followed a segregationist strategy, that's how it would have worked out here in the U.S.
You know what? Now, you know what? When you finish, I have another viewpoint about that.
So I guess I'm done with that, and I will go on to these accomplishments that he asked about. Thank you for the challenge. But I would give, the accomplishments that I would attribute to Martin Luther King, which was the Voting Rights Act, the desegregation of schools, man, I forgot the ones I just had in mind.
March across that bridge, brother. That was
that was an event. That was an event. I want to talk about actual accomplishments. So we have the Voting Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act, the desegregation of schools in particular. He won the Nobel Peace Prize.
Yes.
And I'm probably stuck right there. I have to think some more on that one.
Those are the Minister Ben, if you listen, those are major accomplishments that he left behind. And Minister Ben asked me that, and I'm not as well read as Johnny, and I really could not answer, because when I think of Martin Luther King, the first thing that comes to my mind is the speech, "I had a dream." And you know what? But Johnny notably has brought up things of Rev. Martin Luther King's accomplishments that I did not think about. And you know what? Johnny is well read, and you know what? You need to tune into his show. You know what I'm saying? Because nobody holds all the knowledge. But go ahead, Johnny.
That's all I have.
Okay.
That's all I have.
But what I would say, actually, since I'm not that well read, I'm somewhat read, but on those issues, but I would concur with what Johnny said in regards to that. And education. He always stressed education. But speaking of how I probably would not have handled it that way. Now, I say this respectfully to anybody that is listening. This is not to be repugnant, to be malicious, or anything. I believe, of course, I probably would 9 times. All due respect to Martin Luther King, all due respect, I could not have followed that prescription because I believe that it was better for blacks to be self-supportive, to own their own stores, to own their own restaurants, and then they could have demanded. They could have demanded to get a piece of the pie. Because you look at the Kerner report, the way it states that we have more black politicians, we have more black this and that, but they're subjugated to a few that's at the top, but the apex, because we did not truly build the foundation down from the bottom. We wanted to integrate. And I, again, have nothing against white people whatsoever. But I just think taking that posture would have given people of color a stronger position. I'm talking about when it came to political movements, when it came to economics and demand, because I happen to believe that the vote is taken for granted by the Democratic Party because they believe that people of color, they have no place to go. That's my personal opinion. You talk about the black baseball league where you had the clowns, you had the Royals.
You had the Monarchs.
I think that could have been built up to the point where they say, you know what, we want to be included with it. I think that would have gave people of color more say. But again, I must stress, I respect what Martin Luther King did and what he said. But the thing is, that's not the road that I don't believe, in a sense, that was the right road. I don't, but I respect what he did. And I know that sounds like I'm contradicting myself. Mm-hmm. But it's okay for people to have different opinions and they have different viewpoints. I just don't think we're shaped by our experiences, but you want to comment on it?
Yeah, I mean, so it's again, we talk about diversity. I think diversity is good in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. I mean, the way that they do diversity can be ridiculous at times. Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of times diversity is insincere and is a means to a lot of negativity.
Yes.
But when we're talking about positive diversity, it's good. But also, as far as diversity, I believe in diversity of approaches and tactics. So I think some people put it like a complementary approach. Mm-hmm. So I think many Muslims, in particular, Malcolm X's approach, there was not in the Black Panther, which wasn't nonviolent.
Yes.
Along with Martin Luther King's, nonviolent approach.
Mm-hmm.
I think we needed both movements, and I think it was complementary. And as far as nonviolent, I don't like it, to be honest, but I I don't want to condemn it because, like I said, I've read a lot on it before. Much of it I've forgotten,
Mm-hmm.
but I trust that it's well founded,
Yes.
that it's a legitimate strategy.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't want to have that strategy alone. I would want somebody who disagrees with me, but has my back to have my back.
Yeah. Yeah.
You understand what I'm saying?
Mhm. Minister Ben left a message for you. He said you only named 3 things that Reverend Martin Luther King legacy that
Mm-hmm.
he left behind, that he built.
Yeah,
Um,
that's all I got. I wish I had more. Maybe before the show is over, I'll come up with another 2.
so, like I say, that I can agree with you. I can have a meeting of the minds with you because it is complementary. They had two different views of point because it gives you the ability to have 2 different perspectives and to sit down and not just marginalize things. I agree with that, but again, I couldn't have chosen 2 roads. That's the road that I couldn't have chose, but I agree with you about it being a meeting of a mind because thing is, Dr. King, he met with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and he met with Malcolm X. And I think, now you tell me, because I'm from a different persuasion, I think a lot of his views changed once he met with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad personally. And I think, and I may not be quoting right, correct me, Johnny, if I'm wrong. He said, I fear that I am sending my people into a house that is burning down. Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Correct me.
That sounds familiar.
Okay. And once he met with these, I think he changed, and he had, to me, he was outspoken, but I would say he became more outspoken because he started to talk about the Vietnam War being wrong, being
Mm-hmm.
unjust
Mm-hmm.
after he met with these leaders.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and I don't. I think I know and believe that the Vietnam War, it was wrong. I
Yeah,
mean, it's wrong to send. I was in the military. I mean, I had a freedom to say this. It was wrong to send our soldiers in the countries to protect multi-million-dollar corporations that some that may not be working in the best interest of the people and exporting. Now, I'm not exploitation of people, like going to the cocoa
mm-hmm.
fields and having and diamond mines and working for damn near nothing. I mean, tell me if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong,
Mm-hmm.
correct me.
Yeah, it was definitely a war of imperialism. It's as wrong as any war could be.
And I would talk
It's
about
it's
Palestine.
it's 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 basically was gang banging, right?
Yeah.
It was like, my boy came over there, you know, and he was asking for some free stuff, and y'all wouldn't give it to him. Y'all kicked him in the teeth and sent him home.
Mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm,
he goes home, get his boys. They come back over there and try to take everything. That's
mm-hmm.
how I summarize what happened between the French, the Vietnamese, and the U.S. The Vietnamese kicked the French. kick them out,
Mm-hmm.
and the U.S. felt like, oh, you can't do that to a European country.
Mm-hmm.
We have to put our foot down.
Yeah.
So,
and let the people know we're not. You know what? Me and him are not talking racism or hate or anything like that. These are historical facts that they have people of color working in diamond mines controlled by the Bears, and people working in cocoa fields that are minors exploiting the people to make millions. And there are drugs that are coming into the country in body bags that are actually in the body and being bought. You can't tell me that this government cannot stop the flow of drugs that is coming into the United States of America. You can't tell me that. You get a man from the rock. So these wars are unjust, they're immoral, and they're wrong. And you know what? I would say, Johnny, while the individuals at the top have people at the bottom looking at something else, playing 3-card Molly, they're working on things that don't even have nothing to do with what's really going on. Would you agree with that or disagree?
Now that you mention that, it's a closely related circumstance that I find very disturbing right now.
Mm-hmm.
Very disturbing.
Yes.
You notice what's happening in the news and has been happening for the last few years.
Yeah.
Is demonstrating what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not even sure how to approach this, but I guess I grab the tiger by the head. I'm gonna put this tiger in the headlock.
You kind of easy because with these algorithms, boy, they watch. Go ahead, brother.
So let me ask you a question.
Okay.
What's going on in the news?
What's
the biggest stories in the news in the last 5 years?
There several, because I'm a news.
No, just be the of the same ilk. The last 5 years.
I would say what the Hutus are. I'm not even saying the name right.
Houthis. No, not
the
the
Houthis
Houthis
are doing.
No, not that. That's
and what is going on in Palestine. And let me say something.
No, not that. That's basically.
Let's have peace in Palestine.
That's in the last year, right? That's been blowing up. But what's been blowing up in the news consistently of the same genre in the last 5 years?
I don't know. Those are the current things that I know about. And the Cowboys lost. Go ahead, brother.
Who's in the news mostly in the last 5 years?
I would say former President Donald Trump. In my opinion.
You way over there. I'm talking
a political junkie.
I'm talking about a consistent storyline that is only diverse in the particular persons, right? It's not one person. It's a number of persons that's pretty much the same storyline in the last 5 years.
Well, you know what? I'm going to say the immigration, but I give up. After that. Where's my white flag?
Man, you look.
I give up. I give up.
You got me worried, Cliff. It makes me think that you're not very conscientious.
Not very astute.
here's the stories, the consistent storylines in the news.
Yes.
You get Bill Cosby.
Mm-hmm.
You get R. Kelly. You get
Yeah.
P. Diddy,
P. Diddy.
50 Cent, Kevin Hart. All these stories that's breaking out in the news, negative stories,
Club Shay Shay.
are all black men.
Yes.
All right. And who's putting these black men in the news?
I'm wait for your ass.
Black women. And then most recently, another black man. So we're talking about Cat Williams and the P. Diddy's former girlfriend. And, you know, I think that it's really sad. And it's sad from both ends because if there's any truth to it, it's sad.
Yeah.
Right? It's sad because what we're talking about is oppressed people that seem to have no problem oppressing one another.
Yes.
Or I won't even say people because we're not behaving like people. Now, let me put a disclaimer out there. I'm not built on race. My ministry is not built on race. But the reality is that this country is built on race.
Yeah.
And with that, as a minister, I have to deal with that. I have to acknowledge that. I have to deal with that. And it becomes relevant.
Yes.
Even though I would be glad to entertain a raceless topic, a raceless agenda.
Yes.
But the fact of the matter, that's not the reality.
No.
And my ministry is to all people. I'm concerned about all people. But let's face it. We are supposed to be a people. If you read the definition of a people,
yes,
it's pretty much this: persons who have a common experience, usually traumatic experience. In other words, a group of people who can have a common identity for whatever reason, that have gone through something very significant.
Yes.
So as black people, we've gone through something very significant.
Traumatized, brother.
We've gone through I'm trying to think of a word. I just call it a mass kidnapping.
Yes.
And removal from our homeland.
Yes.
And being sold into slavery and shipped like product and like what cattle across a vast sea into a strange land.
Yes.
And after our slavery experience came Jim Crow, and now it's the new Jim Crow. So we have all of these experiences that should unite us as a people.
Yes.
But the oppressor has come in and rather divided us one from another. So it has divided the woman from the man, telling the woman that, no, you're the real oppressed. So that, you know, a lot of black women wear their victimhood like a soup and when they talk about oppression, they forget about the very thing that makes us a people.
Yeah.
And the common thing that we as men and women have been through. And they want to talk about us as in the same conversation as other men in this feminist movement and make us the oppressor. Yeah. So then we're divided between male and female.
Mm-hmm.
And now we have this drama with these rich black men who are constantly being accused of different things. And who, again, it's black people that's, bringing this out and making these accusations. And I'm not condemning the people that's reporting it, because I can only assume that they, like this girl that P. Diddy is accused of abusing. It's very possible that he did it. And I'm not saying that she shouldn't tell. I don't like the way she's telling. Like, it's a publicity campaign, right?
Yes.
I don't. That's messy. It doesn't seem like we're being called to deal with the injustice, but we're being called to make a judgment about salacious activity and get it's being it's going viral. It's being dealt virally.
Yeah.
And I don't think that that's productive for a people who should be a people, or persons who should be a people, and recognize that. Because at the end of the day, while you don't recognize the racial element in it, the oppressor does, and they're taking full advantage of your naivety. So you have to, we black people do have to act with that consciousness that at the end of the day, you're black. So, like a lot of black women want to carry their victimhood and their privilege as black women as separate from the black man. But at the end of the day, when you get through making the black man the enemy, you're still black. So, you know what I'm saying? It's like a lot of black women want to play their victimhood and make it about male, female, when at the end of the day, that's not how the oppressor sees it.
No, I mean, what you're saying is truthful. Like what happened. What was the individual that played Creed and what he did in
Michael
England?
B. Jordan.
Yeah, that's sad that he was put in a situation like that.
Like what?
What happened is they say that he punched the woman or something like that, pushed her out the car but he's saying is he didn't do it. He said he just wanted to end the relationship.
Yeah.
But
okay.
When you say that, if you put yourself in a position where you mesmerize people and you get started, wouldn't you say that your life, you're going to look at you like a microscope, and you have to understand that and not put yourself in situations like that? Would you agree?
Well, to me, that's not the focus. The focus is this. And I recommend my show. Is that a surprise? Tune in, because I deal with this a lot. In fact, I have a lot of the messages that I have up deal with male-female relationships.
Yes.
And That's a focus.
Yeah.
And what you just, that's news to me, what you just said.
Okay.
But it's not surprising. It's happening every day. And this is what I'm speaking to. It's a shame because we're a people, and what we're doing, we're destroying one another.
Martin Luther King more or less agreed with that. He uttered those words. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So while you are focused on getting an advantage in your personal relationship, you're destroying a people that's already in dire straits.
Yeah.
So you're in this relationship and you're playing power dynamics. Right. You're in a relationship and you want to play the gender card. You're in a relationship, a grown-up relationship, and what you want to do, rather than follow peace with all men, you want to police your relationship. And that's what we have in the Black community, rich or poor.
Yeah.
Right? It's a lot of it is, most of it, what I'm talking about right here is the Black woman wants to police her relationship rather than follow peace, rather than be meek, be humble, rather than be constrained by reason. They'd rather police their relationship. And what I mean by police their relationship, exactly what I'm talking about. Not make peace, but call the police because they don't want to make peace.
Yeah.
That's what happened. I've had it, and I haven't had it in my, well, I haven't had it to that degree in my romantic relationships.
Yes.
Not, where the police came, but I have had a relationship where I was engaged and things wasn't going the way that my fiance thought they should go.
Yes.
So I was in the house minding my business, haven't done anything, and she got on the phone with the police. And I come in the living room and she's on the phone talking to the police. I'm like, what I do? and this is the sanctified church, right? Where, we used to follow the scripture where it says, I had dare any of you having any against another, go to law with the unjust. In other words, call the police on a brother or a sister in a situation where they haven't assaulted you, right? To solve basically a civil matter.
Yeah.
So I've had that. I've had like when I with my mom, I went once to get my stuff from her house, and she told me to come get it. And when I came to get it, she gave me one item of the things that were mine. And when I kept insisting, on my things, she threatened to call the police.
Yeah.
Again, another case of a Black woman. And this is my sanctified mom.
Yeah.
Right. So this is a problem amongst African Americans, that their selfishness and lack of understanding what a people is and understanding community, they just don't care. So it's all about the politics, the mainstream politics they bring on what's supposed to be community level, and it's destructive.
Yeah.
And that's why we're not getting anywhere.
Yeah, something. I don't know how we get on relationships, but you know what? I've learned the hard way. I usually don't even argue with women. I just don't, because I almost see it as a losing battle. And you know what? God forbid it say you put your hands on them, because you know what? The police are the constable. They're gonna take their side. So I don't even argue, but I don't in terms of women, like I say, in Islam, and I'm guilty. I am guilty. We're not even supposed to even be shaking a woman's hand, because I'm more conscious where I just try not to do that, because it could be misinterpreted, it could be misconstrued, and you know what? And I try not to do that, but you know what? All the time I'm not. I'm all the time. The most sometimes I slip, but I explain to them why, because there's things that could be misconstrued, and I wouldn't even don't even hug another. I would not hug another man's wife or girlfriend. I just don't do it, because things could be misinterpreted. So rather than put myself in that situation most of the time, I just don't do it. You know, if I'm dealing in business, of course I have to deal with women, but actually I prefer to deal with their husbands. That's why I prefer. But all of them are not married. I mean, that's not to say I can deal with it, but I'm saying under normal circumstances. See, I don't have I noticed about the Underground Railroad podcast and TV show. I don't have a lot of women, I believe, that look at my show anyway, because I see the statistics. And there's a lot of women that don't look at my show, but that's not, I just said that. But the thing is, I try very hard not to put myself in a situation like that. And I talk to them, but I try to limit what I am going to say, because it could be misconstrued. It could be misinterpreted.
You know, in fact, and I talk about this a lot on my show. I find that the church mimics the world. You know, the church should be how can I say it? A mitigating factor in the world. It should be a blessing to the world, and that it helps mitigate the disorder and foolishness that's in the world.
Yeah.
But what I find is that the church is allowing the world to model its behavior. So that even when you're dealing with church women, they have an expectation of the order that's prescribed in the world, which is actually disorder.
Yeah.
So there's an expectation of church women, even, that a man should interact with them according to what's acceptable and what the standard is in the world.
Nah, I don't. Yeah.
You know, and it's contrary, like even our scriptures, it says it is time that judgment begin at the house of God. And then it goes on to say that you know, where shall the ungodly appear? In other words, you're trying to follow the world's judgment, where they're going to be at in the judgment.
Not gonna. Yeah, you know what? I could say something, but I'm not gonna say it because of the platform. But Hadith Quran said most of the women will be in a certain place, but I'm not gonna say was this heaven. I'm not gonna say was this hell. I'm not gonna say that. You know what I'm saying?
Look,
I love women. I'm not no tutti fruity holding my hand like this, but people that want to hold their hand like that, that's their business. But the thing is, it says in Quran, a hadith, that most of the women will be in heaven, Hell, you had to do the research to find that out for yourself. It's a reason that I don't want to say that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. But I would say this is that you know, at the end of the day, we all have to answer to God.
Yeah.
And you're not going to be able to tell God, well, the law said,
yeah,
or Joe Biden said,
no,
or Barack Obama said, or this was customary in America.
Mm-hmm.
You have to give an account of the deeds done in your body,
yeah,
compared to what the scriptures
Mm-hmm.
command.
Yeah. Totally understand. Let me ask you something, brother. Now, I'm gonna shift. I want to say something about Israel and Palestine, or Palestine and Israel. First of all, they're my brothers. But you know what? I pray for peace in Palestine. Okay. Not going to say who's right, who's wrong. I'm not going to say that because the only reason I'm not going to say that because of the platform that I'm on. But the thing is, I pray for peace in Palestine and Israel, that they stop bombing each other and come
bombing each other. Okay.
Of the minds. I pray that happens, because there are people that are being killed on the Palestinian side, and there are people that are being killed on the Israel side. There are people that are being killed on the Hamas side and Israel side. What you say? I'm threading water, brother.
Well, all I know is that at the end of the day, the scriptures say that, you know, to love mercy, do justice, and walk humbly before that God. That's the duty of man.
Yes.
I don't see that going on in Israel.
In Palestine.
He also says to
Palestine, right?
And it also says to be, and I'm paraphrasing, to remember the stranger among you, because you know you were once strangers.
Yes.
And that's not happening.
No. It's a reason. You know what? I have different opinions about it, but we'll go into that on the other side, but on another platform. I just don't want to go. You know, like what is going on in Yemen with the Houthis and them sending drones on merchant ships. What is your opinion about that, brother?
Well, you have a continuation of world history,
yes,
which has been for mostly our history is about imperialism.
Yes.
And I think that we don't talk enough about Saudi Arabia's imperialism. They've been imperialists for years.
Yes.
They have murdered so many people in Africa. And we talk about European enslavement of Africans, but the Arabs was doing it before the Europeans. So, you know, it's just another beat on the same drum of imperialism, the oppression of colored persons. And, you know, and right now it's colored persons, but of course, colored persons aren't the only persons that have been enslaved throughout world history. But nevertheless, there's always someone endeavoring to enslave another.
I got to piggyback on that, like what Constantine did. Okay. and said, with this symbol, we shall rule Constantine. This is historical. Okay, so in tyranny is in tyranny, no matter who does. People that don't know, Constantine led crusades. Okay. In the symbol, I'm gonna let you look that up.
The cross?
Okay. So in tyranny is in tyranny. So from what I've seen on the news, the Houthis are upset that the Palestinians are being treated. They believe that the Palestinians are being treated unjustly. And they believe that it is an embargo. It is an embargo on some foods and supplies that are going through the Red Seas. And they don't understand. They say, hey, you know what? You're doing this to them. And then we're going to retaliate. And the thing is, I don't want anybody to retaliate. I want everybody to live in peace, but that's not going to happen. It'll be nice.
No, it's not going to happen.
That is not going to happen
because
the Houthis, they are mad, and they are mad at Saudi Arabia for, in their opinion, from what I have read, they believe that they are in cahoots with the United States of America, which I love the United States. Okay, and they are upset. They are mad. And you know what? I hope for nothing but peace. But this is why the Houthis, those are some aspects of why the Houthis, which is in Yemen, are doing what they're doing. They're doing it in support of the Palestinians, and they are proxy. They are proxy. What I mean by proxy is Iran has little armies of people popping all over Africa and the Middle East. I don't know where they got Middle East from.
Right.
And
that's a biased term.
And yes, and I think that it's a possibility it may turn into a bigger provocation because Iran, they're working on developing and having full nuclear capabilities. Okay, they're working on that. And I kind of envision, I hope that I'm wrong. I'm not Nostradamus. Nostradamus is somebody that made predictions. I pray that the United States and Israel doesn't make a joint bombing of Iranian facilities that are making their country, helping their country to become nuclear powered and develop weapons, they say, of peace and energy, and they don't make a joint mission and just destroy it by drone or by air, and I hope this doesn't happen. I hope it does not happen. I think that a country has a right to have nuclear capabilities, but the Iran, according to the newspaper, they said that they're going to use it for peaceful means. I don't believe that, though.
Well, the U.S. uses its nuclear program for peaceful means, as well as non-peaceful means. So, yeah, they could say that it's for non-peaceful means. Probably is, but not peaceful alone.
So I'm thinking in the back of my mind, U.S. jets and British ships and NATO, eventually they will bombard Iran to defuse their nuclear capabilities by
Well,
bombing their sites. What do you think?
it may be a problem with that because Iran hasn't been sitting idle. They have some contingencies, and I don't know if the U.S. have contingencies for their contingencies or all of their contingencies. It's like a chess game because Iran has built up a lot of proxy forces, as you were saying, in different key areas. And Yemen, I believe in other places near Yemen. They have some in Africa. They have them in Lebanon. And other in North African countries, in Syria and Iraq. They have a lot of missiles, strategically placed armies and arms, and they have a contingency for attacking one of the most important resources in Israel, which is their water supply, because one of Israel's vulnerabilities is water supply by them being right there in a desert area surrounded by
Israel is not landlocked. I don't think so. But go ahead.
Yeah, they are. I mean, okay, I'm sorry. They're not landlocked. They're on the Mediterranean Sea.
Okay.
But that's salt water.
Okay.
Right. So they have to process it. So what Iran has done is threaten their water purification facilities. So that's something that's on Iran's target list, just in case they want to go and bomb Iran. So it's a chess game. So I'm sure the U.S. and Israel want to go in and bomb Iran, but
and the British,
right, and the British, but Iran has contingencies. So it's not that simple.
Johnny, as we talk about the news, all this will be old, and people will be able to look back in history and see what was going on in 2024. Perhaps they'll use this as a case study later on. But you know what? I want to ask you something about the presidential race for 2024. I would like to ask you. It's astonishing to me that former President Donald Trump is leading in the polls, double digits, and he has not participated. He has not participated in one debate, which that wouldn't be in his best interest anyway. Is that astonishing to you? What is it about former President Donald Trump that mesmerizes people?
He helps people live outside of reality. He makes people feel comfortable living outside of reality. He helps privileged people feel like victims. So I think that's one of the appeals that he has.
It is quite possible that he may end up being the president again.
And I, from my vantage point, his biggest advantage is polarization. His biggest advantage is the fact that the left assumes that they're right. And they alienate the conservatives or the extreme right. Basically, it put it like this: the left basically makes moderate and conservative and right-leaning people, they push them to the far right with their self-righteousness, with their assuming of or their pushing of their leftist agendas.
You know what, John? Yeah. Go ahead, John. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead.
Now, this is far-fetched. Okay, I have no evidence whatsoever. For people that are listening to this, the fact I have no evidence to prove this. So this is a question. You know, former President Donald Trump helped Ron DeSantis, who was he the governor of Florida? And he was behind in the polls. Okay, and then Donald Trump helped him because he was way behind in the polls. Is it possible that Ron DeSantis is running not to win, but to help Donald Trump? Is that possible?
I don't see how.
Because he helped him when he was running for governor, and he was way he was way behind.
No.
You don't think they play games like that? Go ahead, I'm listening.
I mean, if it was beneficial, I'm sure they would play that game. Okay. But I don't think it's beneficial.
Okay. It's not beneficial to Donald Trump. I get it. Okay.
No, it's not beneficial. Both of them are vying for their own benefit.
That's a deal.
So it's no way that DeSantis running helps Donald Trump at all.
That could have been what I'm trying to say is that could have been a deal that was made.
But it doesn't help him. It doesn't help Donald Trump that he's running.
No, I think some people saying, wow, I think you can throw it. I think in some ways you can throw a dark horse in there. You know what? You could think he's running for himself, but he's really there to help the other man.
Yeah, they do that. But in this particular dynamic, the math, as they say, don't math.
Explain it to me.
The math ain't mathing.
Explain it to me, brother.
It's no way that Donald Trump is getting a bump from Santos being in there, because if anything, he's taking away votes, because the nation is so polarized. It's not like the people that's voting for Santos, especially in this primary, right? You know, but you know, there's no way that the people that if they wasn't voting for Santos, then they will vote for
Nikki Haley.
Yeah, Nikki Haley. I don't think so. I
do think the reason I think so, because I think at some point DeSantis is going to have to pull out of the race because he has polarized himself since Donald Trump did help him, and when he was running for governor and he was in last place, it would be natural to say, you know what, I'm gonna give my support to Donald Trump. I think that's what he intended to do anyway.
Well, I think if I recall, the messy presidency of Donald Trump, right? I'll put it like this. Donald Trump makes it intolerable to really be a unequivocating supporter of him, in my opinion. Because here's a man, it seems like he tries to make subservient clowns and sycophants of his supporters, of his political, his supporters that's in the Republican Party. He just drains too much from them, in my opinion. Especially just as the person, not to mention what he did when he was last in office.
I don't know, man. You know what? Now I'm gonna tell you something. If that is the case, why did he accept assistance for Donald Trump when he was running in the polls, when he was running for governor? He was running way at almost last. If that's the case, if he had that type of perspective of him, why did he let him help him and endorse?
It was to his advantage. Donald Trump helped him. It was advantageous for him. And again, maybe, you know, again, my perspective, he probably wanted to repay Donald Trump support for him. But again, the cost of supporting Donald Trump, the personal cost to Sense and Sensibility, in my opinion, is just over the top.
I don't think that DeSantis has any sensibility in myself. Anytime you would want to pull books that are talking about historical things that happened in the past out of history because it would hurt people and get rid of the dictionary, I don't think I think his triggers have cocked. That's my personal opinion. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah. Okay. Maybe he doesn't have a lot of sense and sensibility. Yeah. But I'm certain he has some pride. And Donald Trump drains your pride. It's like he makes you even his political supporters, he make them as if they peasants and beggars. It's just too much.
But you know something, Johnny? You know something, though, Johnny? This might surprise you. I've talked to some brothers a lot. There's a lot of blacks just gonna vote for Donald Trump.
I think that's overblown. Because so. even in the last election, that was the talk. And when I looked at the numbers, it went from if I remember correctly, the black male vote went from 5% Republican to 7%. And the black female vote went from 5% to 6%.
Okay.
And I found that incongruent with the talk that was going around, talking about all these black people are turning Republican. And then they even went and see what happens a lot of times is that the media and the politicians and others try to make reality follow the news rather than the news follow reality. So they'll talk something up and try to make it true. So they were saying that, you know, black people was voting Republican at record numbers. Okay, you went from 5% to 7%. That's a negligible increase. And then they went on to say how that black men way above black women are really voting Republican, and it started explaining why, talking about how black men are in essence trying to salvage some political clout with the Republican Party. Hogwash. You know, because
I'm gonna tell you why I disagree, but go ahead, brother.
That those numbers are negligible. You're talking about 1% and 2%. Come on. And it's definitely when you talk about the difference between black females voting for the Republican Party versus black males. You're talking about 1%. That's negligible. Stop playing.
Okay. When you finish, then I'm gonna go ahead.
That's it.
Okay. The people that I have spoken to, and I went to a rally that are incensed and enraged, brother, that there are people that are coming across these borders, which I understand. I got a good idea why they're coming across the borders. They are incensed that there is a group of people that is getting entitlements that are illegally coming in the country. Okay. And they feel the entitlements that they're getting should have where all these resources coming from now, and that could have been given to the people that were out there before, and they are incensed and rage. I went to a rally where it was hundreds, that said, you know what, Donald Trump is right about immigration, and they are angry about that because property taxes are going to go up. And let me say this to people that may be looking in other locations. I could understand you want to get out of Central America, or get out of Mexico, Tijuana. I could understand it because if your country was controlled by drug cartels and most of your politicians were corrupt, and if I lived there and I had an opportunity to give my child to the United States of America to get away from that, I would too. What I'm saying is there are two sides to the story. There are people that are mad, they're angry, and they're upset that people are being allowed across these borders without following the proper protocol. That's Chicago. Chicago is a joke. Chicago is a joke. How could you say, how could you say, do not bus any more immigrants to Chicago and New York, and you classified yourself as a sanctuary city? In other words, if I open up my house and say anybody can come in if they want to, I shouldn't be mad if the house get flooded. I need to change the classification. So what the mayor is talking about in New York, California, and Chicago, it doesn't make any sense to me. If you classify yourself as a sanctuary city, what do you have to complain about? Maybe you can school me, brother.
This is what I was talking about when I was talking about how the left alienates the right with its assuming that with this leftist agenda, with this pushiness, with this leftist agenda without reason, right? They without being reasonable with their approach. It's just like, we should do this, or this is the right thing to do, or this is our agenda, and they just do it and don't process it. Like Lori Lightfoot, she just can't. I mean, what's really sad, you want to talk about the Democratic Party taking people for granted. I think politicians take their constituency for granted, period.
They do.
Because they get in power by appealing to the people, but once they get in power, they use their power however they feel, often just to enrich themselves, to get themselves elected again, or whatever they're using it for. Is always something selfish. So they forget about what's good for the people that voted for them. Now it's about what's good for me. So, the leftists, they get in there, and for some reason, immigration is just supposed to is an agenda that is for the most part a leftist agenda that they feel, I guess, righteous. It's a righteous cause, but there's no reasoning to it. So Lori Lightfoot says, "Oh, we're a sanctuary city," she didn't put it to a vote. It wasn't a referendum. It's just because the people elected her, she gets to nominate us as a sanctuary city.
I got to go back in it. I got to go back, brother, because you know what? It wasn't her. You know what? It was Harold Washington.
Okay,
it was Harold Washington.
Well, I'm dealing with the modern what's going on presently.
Okay.
You know, I mean, that has some relevance, but I'm just dealing with most recently. You know, we could talk about that too, but and the reason why I'm making a distinction is because there's been a lot of development since then.
Yeah.
You know, we've had a lot more immigration since then. Immigration has been an issue for years by now. By the time Lori Lightfoot, we was already at the point of crises when Lori Lightfoot opened her mouth and said, "We're a sanctuary city."
Yeah.
And
I mean, the mayor of Chicago now is Brandon
Johnson.
You're Brandon Johnson. Yeah.
So Lori, the problem with that is that as the mayor of a city, you're supposed to be a leader, and a leader is supposed to have some foresight. And given the times that we were in, she should have been able to see that this crisis was going to get out of hand. So she declared us on her unilaterally as a sanctuary city.
No, it was a sanctuary city when Harold Washington was in.
You're not listening. You know what? You don't like to listen.
Yeah.
I said that. I vouch for that. Yes, I remember that.
Okay.
I'm speaking to modern times. As a mayor today, immigration was not the crisis that it is when Harold Washington said that. I don't think he was right, but I'm not speaking to that. I'm speaking to Lori Lightfoot because she didn't have to go and repeat what he said, especially the fact that immigration is more of a crisis or a domestic crisis right now. She didn't have to go and repeat that. She should have had the information and foresight to say, this could be a problem. I need to look out for the citizens that elected me. I need to make sure that they're okay and not put ourselves in a position where we have our budget strained or in crises, and where I may not be able to provide the resources for the citizens that elected me.
Well, let me say something to you, Johnny. You know what? Now I'm saying this,
and let me just add this.
Yeah.
And then she turned around and exclaimed, "Oh, we're having a crisis. We can't handle any more immigration. We're overwhelmed with it." Surprise? Yep. Is that a surprise? No, it's not. And if you acting like you surprised, well, you shouldn't be surprised that you got voted out.
Yeah, I can understand it, but you know what? I'm gonna play the pundit. At my age, because I'm not looking for a job, it doesn't really matter. You know, whereas they talking about jobs, because there's so many jobs. They're coming to work. And there are a lot of vacancies, brother. They're gonna be paying towards my Social Security.
Okay.
You hope. To me, let them in. Let them in, baby.
You're very optimistic. You're very optimistic.
Yeah, I'm being optimistic. Let them in.
No,
you know what? Hey, okay, so we took Texas and Arizona, and I forgot the other state from them. Let them in. Let them in.
We didn't take Texas and Oklahoma from Venezuelans. Okay, let's get that straight. Okay. And also, And also, you're saying that they're working. Yeah, they are working.
They're
But
coming here to work.
and that's another thing that a lot of people ain't too happy about.
What you mean you're not too happy? You know what? It's a lot of people that don't even want to work.
See. It's a lot of people that don't want to work, but there's a lot of people that do want to work.
Ain't nothing stopping you from getting a job. What's
You know
stopping
what?
you?
You know what? Look,
What's stopping you? What's stopping you from getting a job?
Look, Mr. Republican. Look, Mr. Privilege.
No, I'm not in the.
That's what you sound like right now. You sound like a privileged person. Like it's a job for everybody. If they want to work, they'll be working.
It's a job.
That's a very judgmental
statement
based on assumption.
Anytime I walk into the post office and they got a sign up saying that they're hiring, that ain't no assumption. It's not. Anytime I walk down the streets and see job openings, man, people call me for job. Man, I don't want no job.
That's a very simple way, a very selfish way of looking at it.
Do the vacancies have to be filled? The vacancies have to be filled. Don't the vacancies have to be filled? Do they have to be filled?
Let me add some more depth to your thought. It's not only about having a job.
Mm-hmm.
It's about receiving a living wage. It's about getting a job that's viable. So when you bring in a bunch of immigrants, especially if they are employed, they bring wages down.
It's all right with me.
Exactly.
It's all right.
Exactly.
It's all right. It's all right.
That's why I say you sound privileged.
You know what? I paid my dues, bro. It's all right with me. Bring them down.
That's a selfish perspective.
Right. I paid my dues.
Okay.
I'm retired, bro.
Okay.
So I'm saying is,
because you know it's all about Cliff, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's all about Cliff. I'm the one that went through them doors and worked for my retirement and my Social Security. Look, yeah, you're right. I'm in my golden years.
You know what? That's my platform. You know, I want people to be more empathetic, to be able to see life outside of, and this is what we're having a problem with.
Well, let them in. If you want to see that, let them in.
That's the problem that we're having in society is we don't have, as I term it, good peripheral vision.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we have that tunnel vision, and we can see what we want, what we have, and we forget about. Like I remember, I made a statement, and this is, you know, it kind of bothers me, you know, that the thought process that we tend to have. I remember sitting down with a friend and, you know, his family, and I started talking about apartments that have you know, like, okay, you could look for an apartment, but you know that apartment, you know, needs to be something that is livable for you, right? So you and not every apartment can fit you. And I was like, because some apartments may have a lot of stairs.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So the family member of my friend was like, oh, you know, and I've known him all my life. It was like, oh, Johnny's getting old. And so there was an assumption automatically that I was concerned about self, you know, and I was like, no, I'm not talking about me. I have 3 levels and I get, you know, up and down all 3 levels just fine. Mm-hmm. But we not used to to the point that we don't expect people to be thinking about others.
You appear not to be thinking about others by not letting wanting the people to come in that
Cliff,
are living in a area that is controlled by cartels and their politicians are controlled. So go ahead, brother.
If you had a family and you're thinking about your family, you're thinking about others.
Yeah.
Okay.
I got it.
That's all I'm saying.
Okay. So, how do we solve the immigration problem, brother? How do we solve it?
I think that we need to be reasonable.
Teach me.
Practical. And I think that it should be, our immigration policy should express, like most things, the will of the people.
Okay. You expand on that?
So especially on a metropolitan level, on the local level, no man should ever say we're a sanctuary city, and he ain't put that to the people. You don't just claim us as a sanctuary city without putting it to the people. That I think that's a bit assumptuous, or presumptuous, or however you want to put it.
I mean, the people constantly put people in office that are not looking out for their best interests anyway, brother. So that I don't understand. Consistently.
No, well, I understand it. I understand it because they are always looking out for your best interests before they're in office. It's not until after they get in office that they stop looking out for your best interests.
America. And Don King said, only in America. But like I said, man, I think that I think it's good that we see the world differently. You know what? Because it makes for good conversation. It makes for dialogue. Just have two different views and perspectives. I think that's good.
Yep. Because you gotta have somebody that's just looking out for self, and you gotta have somebody that's looking out for others.
Yeah. Now, Mexican people that are being hurt in Guatemala, that are being hurt Central America by evil people.
But some would ask, why then? Why we gotta be the resolution to that?
Because we within the hemisphere. That's why.
So is Argentina.
It's not like we in Africa. It's like their next door neighbor. And you know what? They want to flee and get away from the tyranny, and they see that it's safe. They believe that it's safe and it's prosperous.
Why can't they go to Argentina? Argentina is closer.
It's controlled by drug cartels, bro.
Argentina?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
Oh, okay.
Where'd you learn that from?
Okay.
Are you being prejudiced? Oh, it's a South American country, so it must be controlled by drug cartels.
Oh, that whole hemisphere is controlled by drug cartels.
Where'd you learn that at? Cliff.
Brother, just Google it up. Just Google it up, brother.
Okay, let me Google that up because I've never.
Just Google it up, brother.
That's new to me.
Just Google it up, brother.
You know, all South American countries are controlled by drug cartels.
You stay out, brother. What you say? You say I sound like Donald Trump, huh? Donald Trump is going to make the news interesting for 4 years. You know something that I didn't like that he said. He said, I'm going to be dictator for one day. I believe that if he becomes president again, there's going to be repercussions for a whole lot of people. I believe.
For all of us, not a whole lot of people, for all of us.
No, he's fighting for you. I'm joking, man.
Okay.
That's what he kills when he say they're trying to stop me. They're trying to stop you. He's going to make the news interesting for 4 years. So, Johnny, tell us when your show comes on and your website, your telephone number, so people can get in contact with you, because I'm giving it.
Yeah. So, my show is The Joyful Sound, Truth and Conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I post every Sunday at 10 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
So, you can tune in every Sunday at 10 a.m. at The Joyful Sound, Truth and Conversation. And I'm on every podcast outlet that there is under the same. So you can find me there. And I promise you that you are going to learn of God, and it's going to be enlightening. It's going to be far different than most people are getting, because, I surf the web. I scour these podcasts to see who's preaching truth, who's not corrupting the gospel. And it's hard to find. It's just rare. All these ministries that I look at, all of these televangelists, I look at them, and it is not the gospel. It is not the scriptures. It's not the holy scriptures that we're supposed to be following. It's just not there. Yes. And so I'm offering rare diamonds, put it like that. And I would like to add, because at the beginning of the show, you said I was a Christian. So I just want to address that, right? So I'm not a Christian, and a lot of people don't understand that because there's been so much false doctrine promulgated around the world. People really don't understand that term. Is Christian is supposed to mean Christ-like, and that's not what it means. That's not what it means. Christian is a slanderous term given to the followers of Jehovah God by the Greeks.
Yes.
Right. And as I always remind people, your father has a right to name you, and my father never called me Christian, so I don't go by that name.
Yes. Apologies. So you know what, individuals, tune into the show. Tune in. You got a telephone number you want to leave for people to call you up?
Yeah, I'm when I get there, I'll be sure to drop a number. I'm planning on doing, developing a lot more with the show. In the future I will be doing live shows, and I'll give people the opportunity to chime in. And also, I anticipate very soon I'll be doing my show in English and Spanish. So, Spanish speakers, tune in.
Espanol.
Okay. Todavía.
All right, Johnny, I'm gonna sign off too. And
all right, Cliff.
Everybody in the words of Assalamu alaikum, we speak peace and blessings be upon you. And for the people that in Israel and Palestine and the Houthis, and pray for peace all over the world. I don't believe that that's going to happen, though. But you know what? But I'm being optimistic and not pessimistic. But I don't really believe that's going to happen. I pray for you. Okay. All right. Thank you, Johnny. Assalamu alaikum. Take care, brother.
Peace. Take care.